Well, I think it's time for something just a little bit different and a little bit funky. I love this style of progressive rock music where they infuse jazz and funk and kind of off the wall. We'll just see what sticks, kind of an attitude, and I don't want to give away too much, so let's just dive into this one. Cause for Alarm by Squeaky Feet. So Squeaky Feet is an American progressive rock band. I get the flavor that they're more in the vein of like the strange kind of avant-garde, but not in like a very like kind of off-putting way, but more in like a funky kind of a way. I'm thinking of bands like Moron Police, like Thank You Scientist, like that kind of a style. I would even put like Twerp in there as well, if anybody's familiar with that Canadian band. And these guys got their start in 2019 and have been putting out a plethora of like live material that they have been doing. And that's kind of the feel, you know, kind of like back in the day with a lot of jazz musicians where, you know, they wouldn't necessarily put out a lot of studio albums, but they would put out a heck of a lot of like live recordings. That's kind of the feeling that I'm getting with these guys, because on their Spotify page, they've been pumping out quite a number of like these singles and EPs and live albums. And this is one of the first, if not their first, studio recording. And it's a little bit of a beast, I will admit. It's an hour and 20 minutes. So if I want to get my criticisms kind of out of the way and out the door before I start gushing about this album. The first one is that it's way too long. Way too long. It is far too long. They needed to at the very least, cut off 20 minutes. I could see them even cutting this album in half and putting the like two separate albums out. That's the first one. The second one is that this album feels a little bit more like a repository for music rather than an album. You know, it just feels like they had a bunch of tracks that they've been playing with, that they've been playing live, and they didn't quite have a home, and they wanted to sit down and get the experience of recording in a studio setting. And this is like essentially what we ended up with. And so because of that, it feels a little bit disjointed. It doesn't feel completely cohesive. It does feel a little bit all over the place because it does kind of bounce around a lot. There's not a complete flow between tracks. And a lot of that could just be that is essentially what this album is. It's a collective works of all these tracks that they've been developing since their inception, and they just needed to get them out. So that's kind of my two major criticisms of this album. And that isn't really that much of a criticism. You know, like the music that's found on this is just fantastic. You know, it has about 10 tracks on there, ranging from 4 to 10 minutes long, and each one is an absolute delight. You know, I have a lot of fun with these tracks. Only a couple of them have any kind of lyrics and singing on it. For the most part, this is all instrumental, very funky, very jazzy, very boppin'. My few favorite tracks on here, Generica is just a treat, even though it's one of the shorter tracks on here. I really enjoy the bounce, the fun, and the flair that's found on this one. The same with Pull the Lever, which kind of reminds me of Emperor's New Groove.
Pull the lever, Crunk.
Because that's kind of the feeling that I get when I'm listening to this. You know, there's almost like this fun, unexpected, wild, and crazy ride about it that I can't help but love. Honestly, where this album really shines are on some of those longer extended portions of music. Progress and Premonition, both within the 9 to 10 minute mark, are just a fantastic feast. You know, if you love this very kind of improvised kind of a flair, you know, it feels very organic, it feels very like in the moment, then you're really going to have a lot of fun with this album. And where this album begins to suffer a little bit are some of the almost demo-y tracks. Like the album opens up with Pantomime, which I feel is almost like a first draft of a track. You know, I don't really feel all that like invested about it. Like there's a lot of rough edges on it, and it does add a little bit of a charm to the track, but it is also kind of juvenile might be the wrong term, but it does feel very like inexperienced in that sense. They're just trying something to see what works in that vein. I think for the next album, because I really, really hope that Squeaky Feet put out another album, because I feel as if they really concentrate on the song structure and the songwriting and really come with like a clear vision and a clear flow between tracks. We're going to have something really exciting. Like, this is a band that I really highly recommend looking out for. And you can kind of see the genesis of that with a track like Tunnel Vision. It's got a little bit more structure to it. There's a little bit more rhyme and reason to it. It's a little bit more self-contained in that sense. It doesn't feel completely like, oh my gosh, where's the track going to go next aspect to it. But it has a little bit more of a rein in feeling to it. And same with a little bit further, the musicianship is just top notch. Everybody's playing extremely well together. And I love the fact that they're not just leaning on one instrument or another. You have a very fun guitar lick here. You have a really fun keyboard styles over there, and they blend and mesh very, very well. So overall, Cause for Alarm was a really fun time. There's a lot of music, so there's a lot to digest in this one, but know going in that it is a little bit all over the place for the best way possible. As I mentioned, if they tighten their sound up a little bit more and really streamline some of these sounds, I think we have something really, really exciting and special on our hands. But for the moment, my final rating and what I'll summarize this album review up with, Cause for Alarm by Squeaky Feet is one that I would absolutely download. This one was a lot of fun. I'm really excited and really looking forward to the next project that Squeaky Feet has, because I think that one's going to be even better. I think they're going to use the momentum that they've taken with this one and apply it to whatever project that they have up next. So yeah, keep your eyes out for this one. This one is one to watch. So that's what I've got for Cause for Alarm from Squeaky Feet. What did you guys think about this album? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Whatever you thought, please let me know by commenting down below. I really recommend checking this one out. It's an oddball and one that I really enjoy. So yeah, that's what I've got for you guys today. And yeah, I'm going to leave you with that. So thank you all so much for watching. As always, you guys are definitely the best. And until next time, notes out.